Well, hello, Venters. I'm on a 90-day challenge to walk every day, drink water every day, avoid sugar every day, do push-ups and sit-ups every day, and lose 40 pounds in the next 88 days. If you're with me, let me know down in the comments. I can do this, you can do this, we can do this. Let's do this together. Oh, you don't want to? Whatever. Hit subscribe and hit the like button anyway.
Friends, you've arrived at the right place. This is Jesse, and he'll be our guide for today. Welcome to Walk Talk Vent.
Guys, I want you to picture Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin. Mike Robinson is a tourist visiting from Canada. He and his boys just finished up a great round of golf where Mike Robinson actually hit, get this, a hole-in-one. Is that awesome?
This was Robinson last week celebrating a hole-in-one. Afterwards, he and 3 other men went to celebrate at a bar.
You can almost picture him telling his buddies over beers at the bar that he's died and gone to heaven, and he can now die a happy man, because that's what people say when they do things like hit a hole-in-one, right? 35-year-old Luis Cruz Burgos is a DoorDash driver, right? He was at that bar. The guys that were with Mike were trying to all get together and get an Uber or a Lyft driver, but when they looked at their phone, they realized the closest Lyft and Uber drivers were quite a few minutes away. So they went ahead and asked Luis for a ride. Instead of saying yes or no, they got into some negotiations, and Luis ended up telling them that it was going to be $60 per person, when we all know it should have been closer to about 40 bucks total, right? So when the guys heard 60 bucks, they were a little liquored up, but they weren't that liquored up. So they went ahead and said thanks, but no thanks. A couple minutes later, they were walking down the street, and a car that witnesses describe being the same car that Luis Cruz Burgos was in, the DoorDash driver, he ended up driving by, shooting a solitary shot, hitting Mike Robinson, our hole-in-one guy from Canada, ending his life. Is that awful or what? You guys were thinking this was a good story. No, this is a bad story, but let's be honest, he probably did say, I can take this off my bucket list, I've hit a hole-in-one, and then all of a sudden, he leaves the simulation. You see, that's where Crazy Jesse's taking it. I think what happened is in that cosmic video game arcade that we think of as heaven, I think Mike Robinson opened his eyes, got up from the video game, and walked away. And at the very end of the video game, he actually put in enough quarters or credits where they gave him a hole-in-one. That is a great way to enjoy your last day on Earth. We're going to chalk this up as a W. But if the W costs you your life, it's not really much of a W at all, is it? Now, guys, in the comments, they were mentioning that Luis Cruz Burgos sounds like a illegal migrant's name, but at the same time, the media story never touched on that. So I'm just assuming that Luis was working legally there in Wisconsin. All right, so let me give you my little journal diary entry, and then we'll touch on some topics, or some of these comments, excuse me. So the last couple days I've been observing the 7:30 rule. I actually have been stopping eating around 6:45 or 7. I haven't had any problems with it. The last couple days I've been sugar-free, just drinking water. Again, haven't had any issues with it at all. And here we are, 3 days into the 90-day challenge, and guys, I gotta be honest with you, I already feel a little bit lighter on my feet. I wouldn't be surprised if I've already lost a pound or 2. For those that have been walking with me forever, you know as well as I do, we used to go this route all the time. We used to take long 45-minute walks. We haven't been doing that recently, but I've been getting back into it. If any of you have been taking a walk at lunchtime at your work, please let me know. I have a feeling the answer is none of us, which doesn't shock me, but I want you guys to contemplate something. If you had been walking over the last 10 or 15 years during your lunch break for 15 or 20 minutes, do you think you'd be as heavy as you are now? I have a feeling that you would be a lot lighter and a lot better of shape. I think what happens is when we go to work, we sit at our desk there for 8 hours, don't get up, don't move, don't see sunlight, and I think it has a really bad reaction to the human body over time. As a matter of fact, I've watched videos on YouTube, so you know it's true, where they say that sitting down in an office for 40 hours a week is a lot like having a pack-a-day cigarette habit. So if you have a pack-a-day smoking habit, you know as well as I do, you would be trying to get rid of that habit right away. Well, one of the best things we can do for our body is stop sitting around at lunchtime, get up, and move a little. With that being said, guess who didn't walk today at lunch? Me. You know why? Because I totally spaced and forgot about it. Sometimes you're so into your work that hours fly by. With that being said, no matter what time of day or night it is, unless it's like 3 in the morning, go for a walk. Maybe you'll find that 8 a.m. when it's evening time, or 8 p.m., excuse me, maybe you'll find that 8 p.m. in the evening is the best time to walk in your neighborhood. What's stopping you? Oh, the crime? Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Mala, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when we were a brand new show, there was a woman that was actually, she won number 1. Do you remember this, Sean and Mala? She won number 1. She lost like 35 pounds in the 90 days, but she walked in her apartment. Do you guys remember that? And she said the reason she did was the crime outside just didn't make it worthwhile for her to risk it. And who can blame her? I'd rather be safe and lose weight healthily within the safety of my home or apartment than go out walking in a bad neighborhood. As a matter of fact, if you're walking in a horribly bad neighborhood, you probably have so many stresses going through you that it's not even worth it. Speaking of not even worth it, we're not going to make it through this walk based on the light that's available. So let's have fun and cut through Acacia Park. Guys, I've been going to this park literally since I was a 1 or 2 year old kid, probably even sooner than that. Absolute beautiful park. One of the things that makes it beautiful is what's kind of sad about today. Nobody uses it. I'll drive by here a couple times a week. I might see 4 or 5 people here tops. I think they ought to bring some flag football games out here. And I think they ought to do something with this park. So remember, if you take a half-hour walk and you walk briskly, you're going to burn through about 150 calories. And if you take a look at that can of Coca-Cola that you're sipping on, turn it around with your wrist, you'll see on the back end, it actually has 150 calories. So I always like to talk about how walking is kind of like erasing Coca-Colas from your life. If you've been drinking a Coke every single day and you don't want to quit, starting a walk is at least a way where you can cancel out those calories. But imagine you start a walking routine and then you get rid of that Coca-Cola. Now you're burning 150 calories through your walk, and you're also subtracting 150 calories by avoiding the Coca-Cola, and before you know it, that's a positive gain of 300 calories a day in our favor. I've gotten to the point, by the way, where I can really take sugar or leave it. Do I love it? Yes. Is it addictive? Totally. Will I eat 2 or 3 bowls of cereal when the average person would stop at 1? Of course. But here's the thing, most people can't put it down. I can. But here's another bit of information though. Even though it might seem impossible your first couple of days, after you get away from sugar for 4, 5, 6 days, it actually gets easier and easier. So if you are trying to do it, good luck. It's not easy, but I believe in you. You can do this. Vanda Firetrocchio, I might be saying that wrong. Oh, Pi Trentonio says, a fine example of outstanding citizens let into this country. Vanda, it is kind of disappointing when people die at the hand of somebody that's not supposed to be here, right? But I find it doubly disappointing when it's somebody that's here visiting, you know, bringing in tourist dollars. We love people from Canada coming down, right? Because they mean well. And when you're here and somebody takes your life, it's just like, what a travesty. That guy shouldn't have even been there. Like, would you want to visit Washington, D.C. if you knew that they had a higher murder rate than third world countries? That's scary. Why would you want to go there? And what Donald Trump said the other day was really true. He goes, what's really sad is as soon as we pull out, those murders are going to come right back up. And that's too bad. I wish the people of D.C. would put their foot down and say, you know what, we want to keep this going. We don't want this to end. That would be my dream. Does anybody else have this weird dream? This is my weird dream. That someday before I kick the bucket, I would love to know that there's no such thing as a bad neighborhood in the U.S. Now it seems utterly impossible because it is impossible. But when you see things like DC go from the murder capital of the world to all of a sudden 0 murders, it does give you hope. You know, we need to do that to every major city, and we need to start making murder one of these things that is so rare that, you know, whenever we hear about it, we get freaked out. Now we've gotten to the point where it's so common, whenever we hear about it, we kind of ignore it. Gigi says, and just like that, the Canadian mainstream media stopped reporting on this as the truth does not fit the narrative they want to push. So these same issues that are happening here in America, they're also happening in Canada and the UK and other countries around the world. So you can't really escape it. I guess the only thing that I would ask is, do we really need this much immigration? I could understand if you want, you know, hundreds of thousands of people a year, but do you really need millions of people over a 3 or 4 year period? I don't know if that's necessary. It's absolutely beautiful. You know, sometimes you'll see t-shirts and they have that multicolored effect, right? And they're trying to show like a California sunset or a Hawaiian sunset, right? And the truth is, in this state that I live in, we have beautiful sunsets pretty much every day. But you would never appreciate it if you're not outside on a walk. I bet you there's some people that are venters right now that have gotten into their walking routine, and I bet you there's a house in your neighborhood that you walked by and you thought, I love what they did with their front yard. Ooh, look how they converted their garage into an extra room, or this, that, and the other. There's always houses like that, right? It would be a shame to know that there's houses that can inspire you in the neighborhood, but you're never gonna see them because you can't get off the couch. That would be a damn shame. So how do we get over that, Jesse? Get your shoes on, lazy people. Let's go. Jimmy Doyle says DoorDash and Uber will hire anybody. Jimmy, I never really thought about that, but what's scarier? Being an Uber driver and have some criminal, you know, alcoholic weirdo guy jump in your back of your back seat to get a ride, and then he ends up, you know, threatening you with violence? What's crazier, that or knowing that the driver is the bad guy? You know, when we as people, when we bring other people into our collective space, there's risks there. The reward of taking Uber is that you can drive it when you're inebriated, like Mike Robinson and his buddies. The bad part about Uber is you're inviting a complete stranger into your life, and you hope that Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, you hope they do their due diligence and they don't hire people like that. But apparently they'll hire anybody, and because there's people that'll go out of their way to get these driver's license that they don't deserve, right? These things are gonna happen. So just know that for every bad guy that flourishes here in the country, it's probably due to Americans that are, you know, enabling it to happen. NS Nopper says, so he said no thank you and the driver shot him. That's the motive? This guy might be from Canada. Yes, in America, people shoot you because you have a disagreement with them, because you look at them the wrong way in the 7-Eleven, right? Because maybe you don't give them 35 cents when you're pumping gas at QT. These things happen every day. The American people are fed up with it. And I think Canadians are probably going to get tired of traveling here if these problems don't get fixed. Bob Bobertson says, I heard the NFL is going to have the guy perform at the Super Bowl. Bob made this comment because I heard last night that I guess they're going to have a famous, I think it's a famous Mexican singer singing at the Super Bowl, and apparently he doesn't know English. So I think he's going to be speaking, singing in Spanish. He might be great for all I know. There's a lot of talent on the international music scene, I'm sure. But at the same time, it doesn't seem very Americana, does it? Of course, there's always the chance. I mean, I'm sure it's a small chance, like 60-40. There's always that chance that I'm the only one of us walking. But if you do watch religiously, even though I'm the only one walking, I sure do appreciate that. I hope that one day you'll be at the grocery store, or not at the grocery store. I'm hoping one day you're at the department store and you look at the shoes and you think, you know what? I'm going to buy those walking shoes and I'm going to join Jesse and I'm going to start going for a daily walk. Because here's the thing. When somebody tells you, I want you to do 100 push-ups, or I want you to go work out for 2 hours a day, 3 days a week, it can be really intimidating. But you got to remember, man was literally born to walk. We have the ability to walk for like 20 or 30 hours in a row. And back in the day, prehistoric man used to actually get in a big group. We'll call this group the venters. And they would literally walk their prey down. So let's say there's a cow. Well, I guess a cow would be easy to catch up to. But let's say there's some animal that you want to eat, a deer. You're too slow to grab it. You haven't invented enough weapons to take it down from afar. So your only course of action is to walk it down. Most animals are used to running and then they rest for a while. Well, imagine running and resting and the humans are still walking towards you, you can't escape them. So again, even though you would think that walking sucks, it's actually very fun, very relaxing. I pretend like when I take my last step and I'm home, like I caught that damn water buffalo. I'm gonna eat tonight, but not past 7:30. I want you guys to join the 7:30 club with me. Traditionally speaking, I don't do the 7:30 club until about day 60. Because remember, normally we're weaning ourselves into something. But venters, come on. We've been walking together for 500 days in a row. Even if you don't want to quit sugar, do it with me for a couple of days. Let's see what happens. By the way, I would love to get your guys' pictures. Maybe you can all join our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group, by the way. But if you could get me your pictures, you know what I would like to do? I would like to have moments like this where I could get you in my video where it looks like you're walking with me in the video. So again, I don't anticipate you guys breaking down my door, but if you can some way, somehow get your pictures over to me, that would be great. I would absolutely love to use the magical powers of AI, not for evil, but for good. And I think it would be fun to have you guys be a bigger part of the show. What do you guys think? That's got to be cool. I went and got myself a 4-pack of baked chicken from Fry's for $5. And I want you guys to think about that for a minute. $5 doesn't buy you anything at fast food restaurants, but if you go to your grocery store deli, right? You go to the bakery section of your grocery store, a lot of times you can get really good options that are already made for cheap. I consider 4 pieces of chicken for $5 cheap. And I went with the baked chicken to be a little bit more healthy. I had a garden salad with that, and I had some water. And again, I'm choosing not to eat after 7 p.m. Again, we call it the 7:30 Club. Why, Jesse? Why do we call it that? Because the 700 Club was already taken, stupid. Yes, I want you to join me. Why? Because if you join me, you'll end up getting super healthy over the next 90 days. What's 90 days from now? It's the holidays. Wouldn't that be the absolute best Christmas gift that you could give yourself? And if you end up being healthier and healthier, then when we hit the New Year's, we can make a really good New Year's resolution. You're thinking about going to the gym? You'll quit. Do the walking challenge, get your willpower up, show yourself that you can start something and finish something and be successful at losing weight, and it'll make that New Year's resolution that much more doable. Remember, 2/3 of people quit their New Year's resolution within 3 or 4 weeks. That's going to happen for you. So start now. Do the walking challenge with us. We've only been doing it for 3 days now, so you haven't missed a thing, unless you keep ignoring my voice. All right, it's dark. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, Venters.